So
Got it.
Manon, thank you so much for doing this. Can you first start with like telling a little bit about yourself, how you started running, and like what's your favorite discipline as well?
Oh,
Yeah.
already so many difficult questions. Okay, so my name is Manon. Manon runs on Instagram, and Manon Schudder is actually my name. How I started running, right?
Yeah.
That was about in 2009. I think I was always been quite sportive, so I always did a lot of sports. And then at some point, I went into running just to be outside and to be a bit more relaxed. Because I used to play hockey, field hockey outside, and I remembered I'd enjoyed that. And I kind of you play in any type of weather, and at that point, I was just in the gym a lot, and I kind of just wanted to get outside. So it was not really for anything. It was just I started with my ex or my boyfriend at the time, now my ex. We started with this like starter program, 5 times 2 minutes,
Yeah.
and just to be outside, enjoy it. And we were trying to get to the 5K in, I don't know, 1 or 2 months it is. And so we did that 5K, and then kind of we liked it, so went to 10K. And as I am quite ambitious or competitive, however you want to call that, it didn't stop there. So that's kind of where the competitiveness of running came through,
Mhm.
and I started doing these events. So I've done a lot of half marathons, and then at one point, everyone around me started doing marathons. So
Mhm.
I kind of said, well, I'm going to run one marathon once
Just to see how it feels like.
just to have done the distance. So I also kind of, they were all running marathons. And to me, that was kind of like, you're a runner if you can run a marathon. So I'll do one.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, once you've done that, it's like,
It it doesn't stop there.
it never stops.
No.
It never stops anywhere, really.
No, absolutely not. But now you're not really that much of a road runner anymore, right? You're more towards the trail running. Like, how did the shift happen towards that?
I think when you start running longer distances and you get to know people that run longer distances, you kind of get into, you get to meet people that say, hey, there's thrill runs as well. I think it's just people around me that started doing that, and I always enjoyed nature. We went hiking when I was younger. On holidays, I always go hiking. So to me, it kind of felt quite natural. So the first time I did trail run, I really enjoyed it. It felt like playing outside. And so most of these trail runs are also quite longer
Mhm.
than road runs, and weird distances like a 30K, 40K, and whatever
Yeah.
distance. So I think that's also kind of gradually you get into ultras because you're a trail runner.
Yeah, because you've done quite the adventures, right? Like, what was it? 2 years ago, you ran around like the whole Monte Rosa massive. You also did like the coast to coast in Oman. Then recently, you did like the whole trip of running to New York to Boston. Like, can you tell a little bit more about those adventures?
Yeah, I think the first one I did was 2018. I got invited by Essex for front runner to run from Dubai to Oman, which was my first ultra.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was just the adventure. They invited me, and I was like, I love adventure, I love nature, I love traveling. So kind of could not say no to that, even though I didn't know if I could do it. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if I want to do it, I should be able to do it. So let's go. We'll just train for it.
Mm-hmm.
That went well. I enjoyed that part. And
Mm-hmm.
then so kind of naturally, I guess, there's more stuff that just comes your way. And also because when COVID hits, and I and friends as well wanted to still have some running challenges or kind of go have this adventure to look forward to. So we kind of just organized the Monte Rosa
Mm-hmm.
tour ourselves. And like, why not just get our backpacks, find a route, and run ourselves? It doesn't need to be a race. So
No, right? Because it was 5 days self-provided, or well, how was it again? Like, or
I need to actually, I think it was 6 days. I wrote a blog on every day, so I think it's
yeah,
6 days, 180K, a lot of elevation. That was mostly,
Mhm.
and it was semi self-supported in a way that we obviously had our packs with us and nobody carrying our stuff. So we got water on the way and food along the way, and we slept in hostels.
Yeah.
And there we got dinner, so we didn't have to carry our dinner. Because I also did in Iceland, I've done It was 6 days as well. I think 6 days, but one day got cancelled due to the weather. Um, so that was a proper self-supported one. So you had to
Mhm.
carry all your foods.
Mhm.
Um, that is heavy.
Yeah, because how do you even get started? Because as a runner, like even if you do like the ultra distance, you need to eat a lot on the way. So like imagine doing it for like 6 days. Like how do you prepare for something like that?
Well, the fun thing is I couldn't prepare that long because it was like a last minute invitation to get there. So I was running and I was preparing for other long distances. So I was running the distances, but I did not run with a heavy pack. Like
Mm-hmm.
normally you run maybe maximum 4 kilos, and this was 8 kilos or more, especially when you add water to that.
Yeah.
Because you had to have food with you for 7 days, and the minimum you had to bring was 2,000 calories a day. But as you said, you actually you burn off quite a lot of energy, and if your energy gets low, you get colder, your performance goes. So for me, I know I do better. I'd rather have a little bit more weight and more calories than really go to bare minimum. So for me, it was 3,000 calories a day that I took with me, and that worked well for me. But that means, yeah, you need to kind of think about, do you go for weight or do you go for energy,
Mm-hmm.
which is a hard choice, I guess. But for me, it wasn't about racing, so it was more about just doing the run and
Yeah, but
having that
still,
adventure.
it's like a huge adventure. But for some people, like it's quite difficult to imagine like 3,000 calories. Okay, that's maybe like two or three big pizzas. But how, like obviously you can't put pizzas in a backpack. So how did you do it with the food part there?
I'm quite nerdy, I guess, with that. I made an Excel sheet and figured out how many calories, how
Uh-huh.
dense the food was in calories. But the easiest thing, obviously, is freeze-dried food. So really adventure foods. There's one Norwegian brand that I really like. It's actually really quite tasty, and you only need to add hot water. So the organization provides hot water. You pour it in, zip it up, wait 8 minutes, and your meal is done. And you have that for breakfast and dinner.
Yeah.
Lunch, obviously, you kind of don't have because you're running at the time. So for me, that was a lot of Marathon drink mix that I took with me, and M&Ms.
Yeah, because that's the thing with you and your M&Ms. Like, I know, like when we went for a trail run together, like you were the first one who introduced me to the wonderful world of trail running with M&Ms. But how did that story start? Like, you just took it with you, you found it out
No,
somewhere else,
I
like.
actually, I'm not sure. I think actually it was in Dubai because I was thinking, we were thinking like 6 women running 4 days without chocolate. I thought, like, how do we do that? But then the French girl Floriana had actually M&Ms with her, the
Mhm.
peanut M&Ms. I was like, do they not melt? Because it was quite hot. It was between 30,
Yeah.
40 degrees, and they don't melt. So it's like, that's the secret. We can carry chocolate without melting. And actually I like them. So it's good that you eat something that you like the taste of. But they're incredibly calorie dense, because when I did my Excel sheet for Iceland, I also they were the most calorie dense food that you
Really?
can have. So weight wise, I mean, they have quite a bit of volume, but weight wise, they were the best thing to carry because
Mm-hmm.
they have more calories per gram than any other food I could take with me. Which means if you're sitting on the couch eating a bag of M&Ms, is maybe,
I mean,
not
if I
great.
have to eat a bag of M&Ms, I will. I mean, torture, self-torture, but
But
yeah.
yeah, I think in like one of those little 200-gram bags or something is like 1,200 calories. So it
Oh.
adds up. It's quick.
Yeah.
Which is good, which is kind of, and there's sugar, so you get it in quickly, you get energy quickly, and some fat, some protein because of the nuts. So yeah, in that way, they're pretty good, and they don't melt. They're bite size. M&M commercial here.
Yeah, M&M commercial, like I will add a
I'm still
sponsored
not sponsored by M&M though.
No, still not.
No,
Oh, that's so bad because like you've
still
been
trying.
supporting it for quite some time and actually you have influence. I mean, I've been influenced by you
No,
to start with the M&Ms, so
you're not the only one. Everyone I meet on the trails is like, here, have M&Ms.
So the land of the M&Ms, like it's also huge in America. And you've been recently there for like also a big adventure, like running all the way from New York, from Boston to New York, or the other way around. Yeah, from
Yeah,
Boston to
Boston to New York.
like, how did that adventure start again? Like, you really like to run from one point to the other, but I'm always like, how do you get to those kind of events?
No, I do like those adventures, and I like to kind of, discover new places. I mean, I must say I'm quite lucky that I also get invited for these things. But otherwise, I do search for cool adventures where I haven't been yet, different locations, different environments. Because I mean, I've ran in Dubai in the desert. I've also ran in the snow in Sweden. So just all those
Yeah.
different elements is just, I don't know, it just appeals to me, I guess.
Mhm.
Different elements, nature, different environments. I hadn't been much to the US at all. And from Falke, that I also work for, they invited me for this trip to run from Boston to New York. And then they told me the distance.
Because
and
how much is the distance?
and they first said around 450, then they said 500. It ended up being 560K, which is over 300 miles, I think.
Yeah.
With quite a bit of elevation as well. I think 10,000
Mhm.
meters of elevation we did in total. Which is, I mean, people think like, oh, but you've done lots of things. But to be honest, this is double the amount that I've ever done before. Because Iceland, I think, was the most, is 250K in about 5 days. And this was more than double that.
Yeah.
11 days, 560K, so about 50K a day.
Wow.
And I must say, and I think all of us, because we were at 6 women, I think all of us kind of had this doubt, like, oh, can I do it? Should I do it? But then to me, I think what is the tipping point for me to say yes to it is kind of like, do I want to do it? And so not if I can. I mean, the only way to find out if you can is, just
It's
to
to
go.
actually do
So,
it. Yeah.
yes.
True.
So if I want to do it, yeah, I'm just, and also I'm just really curious. I also kind of just like to see, can I do it? What happens if I can't? What's the environment like? What will happen? So curiosity takes the upper hand.
Yeah, and you finished successfully in the big city of dreams in New York. But how was it to run like 11 days, 50K a day? Like, I can imagine that at some points you were like, why am I doing this? Or not
I
really?
haven't had that. It's been tough. I mean, honestly, yes. What I was worried about most is because you run the first 250K were on the roads. Um,
Yeah.
And although roads is kind of nice and easy because it's steady and less elevation, it's a massive impact on the joints. And I've broken and torn my ankle a few years ago, so that's still a sore point, still sensitive.
Mhm.
And what happened after 4 days, it was swelling up. So my ankle got really thick.
Yeah.
So I must say, I didn't run all the days. It was
Mhm.
more of each of us their own challenge, like how much can you do, how much do you want to do, and how much is safe to do. So for me, I ended up doing 400K in 8 days. So I set out 3 days
Yeah.
because my ankle just couldn't hold it.
Mhm.
So I had one day off after all the roads running, and to get the swelling to go down. Did some ice baths and all, and then run on the trails, and the trails were actually really nice.
Mhm.
And the trails were actually really nice and easy. All of a sudden, it felt way softer. Also, you use some different muscles and you alternated the way you run. So for me, that was really good to have that in the middle. I forgot your question entirely, but
Yeah, like
how was it? It was tough.
how was it? Like, how was it to
Yeah,
run like even if you didn't do like the 560, you did
yeah.
like you still did like 400 kilometers in 8 days. I mean, that's still like
Yeah.
astonishing.
Physically, obviously it's tough. Your muscles get sore, but at some point you kind of just get used to that unless you get kind of injury. So my ankle was a tough point. That still kind of caused issues till the end. So the last day was a bit painful. But you know what you sign up for, and I know I can handle quite a bit of pain as long as I know I'm not gonna tear it completely or break something that will last, a lasting injury, so to speak.
Yeah.
But mentally, the funny thing is, I didn't find it that tough this time around. But we were with 6 women, we had a lot to talk about, we had the environment, and I think well, it also helps because you kind of get used to it, and I really like just to run and not think about anything at
Mm-hmm.
times as well. And we had a car that would give us the aid crew that would give us drinks, water
M&Ms.
refills, M&Ms as well. Actually, I didn't eat that many M&Ms because this sounds like a commercial, but Martin now has those bars, the solid bars.
Oh, but those bars are amazing.
I know.
Love them. I
So
love them. Yeah.
I kind of feel like I should tell people now, like, I'm sorry, I did not eat that really kind of, I think I had a handful of M&Ms during this run because I had the bars, but the bars also have electrolytes and I sweat quite a bit, so I need that. Anyway, sidetrack. So we had every 10K, we had the crew actually we saw the crew. So you don't think about the full distance, you just think about, oh, in 10K we'll see them. And then,
In 10K, I will have food again.
Yeah, so you run for food.
That's the best part about running.
I know, right? So yeah, so we saw them every 10K. One day was tough. I do remember that after one day, I normally don't get mental breakdowns or anything. And after we had one day of 61K, and it's a lot of elevation, and it took us 12 hours. Also, because we had to wait for our crew, we couldn't find them, we didn't have enough water, and everything kind of just didn't go
adds up as well. Yeah.
And then you're tired. It was day 7 or something, and so we were going for quite a while, and then we were running in the dark, and then we heard there were hunters in the area. So we got a bit scared. So you're running a bit nervous, like, okay, let's just start keep talking, be loud. They know we're not animals, not shoot us. And then someone told us there were bears in the area as well. And I wasn't too worried during the day because there's so many people on the trail. But then at night, and we got lost and we got off the trail. And then Andrea and I were just the two of us running in the dark, not on the trail. And I was like, I'm not going to mention it. I was thinking about it. And all of a sudden, Andrea's like, there's bears in the area. I'm scared. Like, yeah, no, not scared. It's going to be fine. Let's just keep running. So that kind of added some stress to it. So when we finished that day, I was done. I was so done. And I thought to myself, and the whole body was sore. And also we were sleeping in RV, which was not great. It was very, very cold. Our heating didn't work after a few days. And then the beds were it was a bench and it was really hard. And when your muscles are sore, I just couldn't sleep. Every 10 minutes I turned and then got sore again and turned. So when I was lying in bed at that night, I thought, tomorrow I'm not going to run. I'm just not going to do it. But then you wake up in the morning.
And it's all forgotten.
Autopilot, you just put on your running gear. But the thing was, I thought, like, you know what, I'm just going to run the first 10K and then I can stop. But then once you've done the first 10K,
you never stop. No, you keep going.
Just go.
Yeah. True. That is all super inspiring and stuff, but I can see a lot of people think, like, how do you prepare for that? Because you live in the Netherlands. The Netherlands are quite flat. You do a lot of elevation. How do you prepare for those events? Because all of those events include elevation. So how do you do it?
It's tough in the Netherlands to prepare for it. It's tough. What I've done for some races, I used a bike to have it on higher resistance, so you have to press harder on the pedals. Because the highest hill I can find here is 13 meters, 13 meters high. So that you do in 30 seconds. So you can't run uphill much. For this case, for Boston, New York, I actually went to the Ardennes quite a lot. I had an ultra planned in Spain that I ran. So it had a bit of elevation. So I travel a lot, which helps me with the elevation and cycling. Also just leg strength training. If your legs are strong enough and you do the distance, in the end, speed is also strength training. So that will also help you uphill. So anything, you can kind of get the same feeling. That's what you do. But you deal with the things you have. So for me, that's it. But I cycle. I'm looking that way because my bike is there, but I cycle a lot as well. Indoor bike.
Because if you would have to describe your normal trainings week, how would it look like? Because you also have a full-time job. So how do you
Yeah.
combine?
I don't think I have a normal training week. Like last month, I have not run at all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so
Like
I can be
let's say on
completely,
average then.
yeah. So like my normal, like my base that I keep doing is about 3 runs a week. But when I know I have something to prepare for, it could go to 6 to 8 times training sessions a week. 6 to 8
Mm-hmm.
training sessions. And that includes at least 4 times running, but it also includes some strength training or cycling. And cycling, I can do some endurance sessions or short intervals. Um, yeah, so for me, I try to normally have like 2 months of preparation that are intense. And longer than 2 months, I don't like. Also, I get really tired if I do it for longer because they are intense. I do high intensity sessions in that as well. And mentally as well, you just keep pushing yourself. So you also need to keep some energy there to
Yeah.
push yourself through those days or through a race. So you
Mm-hmm.
should be completely tired and done when you're starting the adventure as well. And
Mm-hmm.
I think ultra running mainly because even with this one, I and Boston, New York, I only ran 100K a week, which is a lot, but it's not compared to what we were doing. But when I heard about it, I was running about 50K a week. So I can't just go from 50 to 400 in a week.
Yeah.
So you always want to prevent injury. That's, I think, more important than pushing yourself. I think it's better to do too little than too much
No, but
because
that's
too much will
absolutely
mean
true.
you're
Yeah.
injured.
Mm-hmm.
So 100K a week, maybe not the best, but it's all I could do at that time. Um, and then I forgot my train of thought again. But yeah, it's great how my mind works sometimes. um, gosh. But yeah, I don't feel like I run that much, but you do what you are able to, and the
Yeah.
volume you can handle as well is
That's true
important.
because a lot of people think like the more I run, the better I will become. But with my clients as well, I always focus on like qualitative sessions instead of like doing as much as you can because then you will be a better runner. It's like, no, it's like the more quality sessions you can get in. And if it's only like 3 or 4 times, it's so much better than go running every day or even like 2 times a
Yeah.
day. Doesn't get you the results. It's like the way you train. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I think you get to know your body. For me, also, I can't train 7 days a week. So even when I do 6 to 8 training sessions, I
Mm-hmm.
always have one day completely off to rest and recover. I
Yeah.
know I need that. And indeed, like you do the easy sessions, they don't cost me much energy. So I can do 3, 4 hours, but then really low volume. That could be in a bike or or running. But I
Mm-hmm.
do have some sessions that I find harder, and the hardest one is only 20 minutes. But I'm dead after.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I can't do too many of those in a week because I won't be able to handle
No,
that.
well, obviously not. So the big question now as well is, are you preparing for a next event or now you're just like chilling a little bit, let's say?
I have been chilling way too much lately. So I feel like there should be something. I'm not much of a planner. So there will be a next adventure. We're kind of looking into Transalpine, but that's only in September, so it's still
Yeah.
long, far away, or
Yeah, but it's
something else with Falke, because Falke is coming up with all different plans and ideas as
mhm.
well, different adventures. So I'm 100% sure there will be a next adventure this year. I want one adventure per year anyway.
Yeah,
Um, Maybe a marathon on the roads, even though I prefer trails, but I kind of like every now and then a road race as well. I mean, I
like push
train in
yourself a
different,
little bit.
see what pace we got or what I can do. But nothing fixed yet,
Hmm.
just ideas.
So actually, in a nutshell, people should keep following you on Instagram to see what you're up to and get inspired, right?
Hopefully. Well, yeah, I mean, why? Because, yeah, I got asked, like, why do we do these things or why do we share those things? And I think we were talking before this when we started, like, I think when you say a lot of, especially women, think, oh, I'm not sure if I can do it, and kind of showing like if you want to, you can. I mean, it doesn't mean you can do it straight away tomorrow, but if you want it badly enough, you'll prepare for it and you find the focus to prepare for it.
Yeah.
um and when we did like Boston to New York and they asked all the girls, like we all were like, I'm not sure. And it's like, well, how would that be with guys? I think guys would
Guys would be like, yeah, let's do this. Let's make a race out of it. And girls are like,
know. I think so. More guys will say yes straight away without even blinking, and girls are like, oh, can I really do it? That's, I think we kind of create that image ourselves by not trusting ourselves that much, because when we came out, we're going to run 560K in 11 days, people are like, oh, that's a relay. And like, I'm not sure if when men say something like that, they would expect them to run the full distance, but when women say it, they expect it to be a relay.
Yeah, but it's absolutely
That's
true.
the image we create.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also kind of the reason why I really like also the Boston to New York, Dubai to Oman. They were all female stories. And as a female that runs a lot or does a lot with sports, you often also train with guys because there's just more men, and especially in the longer distances, there's more men. So it's just fun to have those girls with the same mindset and showing that we are
Also,
more.
it's like that's at least from my own experience. It's like if you go with men training, like the first part, they will always try to like kind of show off, and then the second part, they're like dead off. They're like, oh, do we have to keep going? Do we have to do this pace? Like, you started the pace, so we're gonna end with the pace.
Going. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Men kind of like they overestimate themselves maybe quicker, and girls underestimate themselves, I think, quite quickly. Obviously, there's exceptions, but I think in general that's the case. And be nice if we have more girls to do these ultras with and challenge ourselves and
Absolutely.
or run
So
together.
I would 100% recommend following you because you always have something to do. You always have something going on your Instagram. I will also like just leave the handle to your Instagram below.
Thank you.
Manon, if you have like one last piece of advice that you would give to like people who are watching, what would it be?
Eat M&Ms. No.
Hashtag sponsored content.
I think if you want to do it, go and do it. Like if you have something that you are even a bit scared of, if you want it, you can do it. But it does mean you have to find time, focus, and prepare for it. But yeah, I think for everyone, if you like something, go for it.
Well, thank you so much. I think all of your stories have been a great inspiration for men and probably even more female. So thank you so much for your time, and we keep in touch because we still have like an ultra pending, if I recall.
Yes, yeah, I know. We still need to run together.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.